Welcome to the AI Applied Podcast. I'm your host, Connor Grennan.
And I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Every week, we break down the latest in AI news, tools, interviews, and discuss how to apply AI into your career and life.
Hey everybody, it's Connor. I'm flying without my man Jaden, who is on paternity leave. Just a quick one, I'm guessing, but super happy for my guy. And today, I want to honor Jaden's absence by talking about Elon Musk, which I know can get people all riled up. But look, Elon Musk is central to this AI debate. And what I'm so interested in right now is Grok. Grok was supposed to be launching sort of like around this week, and we're seeing that it's not coming out yet. And look, no shade there. These are models that take time to get right, and everybody has learned, hopefully, from Google tried to announce Bard, whenever that was back in the spring or whatever, and it absolutely tanked by getting the question wrong in the demo. Holy cow. And Google market cap dropped by $50 gazillion. So obviously people are taking their time. And look, I totally respect that. What TechCrunch has reported is that after screenshots emerged showing, I'm reading this, xAI's chatbot Grok appearing on X's web app, X owner Elon Musk confirmed that Grok would be available to the Premium Plus subscribers next week, right? And so it looks like there's already integration, so it is going to happen. And I do want to get to what I'm so fascinated about Grok, because if it does what it says it does, this could be actually something that I would actually really use. But I just want to sort of talk about for a second how Elon seems to be positioning Grok, because it doesn't matter if you have the best model in the world if you're not going to compete with other models, right? We've seen this with OpenAI competitors and Anthropic and Meta and everybody else, and Cohere and everybody else that's putting out models. They all have their thing. So what's Grok's thing? Well, here's my take on it. Right now, of course, this is an absolute valuable kind of thing if he can actually link it up to X, and I'll get to that in a second. But more importantly to today's sort of discussion, I just want to point out what happened when Elon Musk was on the New York Times at the New York Times Deal Book Summit, because it was absolutely wild what was happening there and made huge headlines. So what was happening? Well, essentially he kind of gets on stage and he's getting interviewed by Andrew Sorkin about, the anti-Semitism remarks he's made and all these kinds of things. And he sort of noted that he had apologized for it. And look, I'm not here to judge Elon one way or the other on that. I have my own strong feelings about that, but that's not what this podcast is about. But I just want to sort of say, when Andrew Sorkin asked him about this, hey, listen, it sounds like, you said those things and then you apologized and you went on this apology tour because advertisers were leaving. Elon Musk said, and I quote, he's like, I hope they stop. And Sorkin said, quote back, what do you what do you mean? You don't want them to advertise? And Elon says, if somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, go blank yourself, right? He's like, go blank yourself. Is that clear? Hey, Bob, I know you're in the audience. That's how I feel, right? And he kind of kept on doubling down on this. And people, including me, were like, this is sort of wild, but really, why? Why is this important to AI and to the AI world? And here's the reason. It's not just because of the sensational, look, Elon, had this wild moment on stage or whatever. My question is this a play? Is this sort of like how Elon is positioned? Because if I had to guess, you're putting gun to my head kind of thing, I'm guessing that Elon is, of course, as we all know, he kind of rides this sort of popular anti-media wave that sort of Trump did and everything else. And sort of look, it's me against the world. And then he has his people flocking to him. But he sort of extends that to advertisers too. And here's the question that I have. I mean, Twitter, needs advertising, I think. I mean, I don't think that the subscriber base is going to make up for that. And Elon can say all he wants, well, I don't care about money. And people can say all they want, oh, he's just sticking up for it. I don't mind. I'm just wondering, is Elon... how is Elon thinking about revenue for something like Twitter, which he bought for over $40 billion? And he wants to sort of lure people in. And if you sort of notice that OpenAI obviously has blown up. Elon got out of that early. That had to absolutely kill him and everything else. But my question on this is Elon seeing a lane that maybe the rest of us aren't necessarily seeing? And how is this all actually affecting Grok, which is obviously his large language model, because this is a crowded space, right? And there is a ton of strong players here. And Grok, as we know, it just doesn't have the horsepower of some of the other models. Certainly not a GPT-4. You could even sort of argue, I've heard it said that it's probably closer to a GPT 3.0, but even that, as we've said on this podcast, that's unbelievably good in just a couple of months to sort of ramp that up. But here's the thing. Grok's big thing should absolutely be that it's trained on Twitter data, because that is absolute gold. Now, I know when I speak to a lot of my friends and colleagues, they're like, oh, Twitter's this totally gross place where, it just sort of, it's just like disgusting discourse, and why would I ever want to go near there? I get that, but Twitter's a really, really big place, right? And one of the things that for me anyway, is that I get to ignore all that kind of stuff because my Twitter algorithm is only basically AI news, right? I'm trying to think if there's even anything else random on there, right? I mean, like, I don't even think so. I think it's really just AI news. And here's the thing about AI news. And if you're listening to this podcast, you sort of already know this. It is, in one way, easy to get AI news because we follow great newsletters, podcasts, things like that. But I get asked all the time, I train companies, and I get asked all the time, where can we go to keep up with the news? And my answer is, I don't know. I mean, follow me on LinkedIn, I guess, right? Or subscribe to a newsletter or something like that, because the AI news is moving so unbelievably fast. There's obviously like no book, there's no user manual, there's nothing like that. And it's happening so fast that when something new comes out and somebody says, hey, have you tried this new thing on GPT-4? Or, hey, look what GPTs are doing, or, hey, look at Inflection's new model, or something like that. The only place you can really go is kind of two places. One is whatever press release that company put out. So obviously these companies are very good at that. And the other place is Twitter, right? I mean, I don't even know where to go. I mean, again, I go on LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. And obviously like the information is great. TechCrunch is great. The Verge is great. Those are three fantastic news outlets for this. But those are reporting the news. If I'm trying to figure out like how to use something, or if something's actually working, or what are the use cases, I don't even know where to go except Twitter. So that's huge. So imagine if you had this large language model and you're trying to figure out like, okay, so how do I actually use this new thing that everybody's talking about? If you had a large language model, I can say like, well, 45 minutes ago, this person just posted this. I mean, I can't even tell you how incredible that would be. But here's the thing. This is where we get back to Elon. Because first of all, we don't know if it's going to work well. But look, again, I'm going to be very forgiving of that as well. I mean, all these models, like no matter how great they look, they're going to take time. So I'm going to give Elon a lot of time on that. But here's my question. Is Elon seeing something bigger than that? And I think maybe he is, because the big thing that everybody talks about is how snarky it is and how much it sounds like Elon, and how much it's going to give you these sort of like boring, like non-boring answers that other LLMs give you, right? It's going to give you like the, oh, sure. Yeah, like I'd really tell you how to make cocaine. You're such an idiot, blah, 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 right? Like, and people love that. So my question is this, will that work? And before you just say like, no, nobody cares about that. I don't know. Because look at Inflection. Inflection AI is an extremely well-capitalized company, and it has been created by some of the greatest minds in this space, that Reid Hoffman and Bill Gates and Eric Schmidt, not to mention founder Mustafa Suleyman, who wrote The Coming Wave and was co-founded DeepMind, which was acquired by Google. Clearly brilliant people behind this. I think the company is valued somewhere around $4 billion. I may have that somewhat wrong. But I have people that absolutely love Inflection. And I was talking to one of my friends the other day who's a chief AI officer for a huge medical company. And he's like, it is basically my favorite. I'm like, why? What do you like about it? It feels like very kind of like loosey-goosey, right? And he's like, there's basically like no prompting. It knows what you want. It's just sort of, and he's into mental health. He's like, it's a great mental health thing. So the angle for Pi, which is Inflection's model that competes with ChatGPT, is it is designed to be this supportive, empathetic digital companion where you get advice from it, you have conversations, it's like a coach and a confidant and a sounding board, right? And for me, I'm like, no, I just want information. But I'll tell you what, like that's going to be huge if it does that well. And it really seems like it's doing it well. And also with Inflection too, I should say that it seems, or like self-reported here, they say that they're second only to GPT-4. I have no way of independently verifying that. But what is Elon's play with Grok? If Grok works, this is going to be huge for grabbing sort of like up to the second information, which just by itself will be super, super valuable. It won't be as powerful as the other language models, but will we have this giant swath of people who will be willing to pay because they want Elon's voice, because they want somebody that sort of like sounds like them. And I'll tell you what, there's no other large language model that sounds like them. And as we have seen by, for example, Donald Trump getting elected president, and again, I'm not sort of saying one way or the other, I'm just pointing out facts. He got elected based on the fact that people were like, finally, somebody sounds like me. That is what I'm going to be watching for Grok. Who are the people that tune into Grok? And is it going to be more for people that want information up to the minute, if it can do that? Or is it going to be this huge, broad swath of people that are just like, I want a large language model to sound like me? And I think that we are going to get deeper and deeper into these conversations as these things get more and more personalized, that have more and more of a voice, and that are not ChatGPT, which is just running away with the tech part. I want to see sort of how these things are personalized and where they get their audiences from. So that's all. That's what I wanted to talk about today. Thank you so much for listening. Please do rate us, review us. It means so much to me and Jaden. And on behalf of me and Jaden, have a great rest of your day.